Please read the disclaimer. Hello, beautiful people. Shalom, moneymakers. We're going to talk about XRP, about the crypto market. I'm going to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly. All I ask from you is that you give me a beautiful smile to send out those good vibes. Smash that like button and let's get into it. So currently XRP is sitting at $1.91, up 0.2% on the day. Bitcoin sitting at 88,000. We have Ethereum at 2,982, so still under 3,000 here for Ethereum. After we got the Japan news last night or this last morning, we saw the crypto market sell off into the news, but then recover on the news. And so far, so good. The market isn't reacting poorly. The stock market went up on Friday. It was a quadruple witching day. So there was a lot of activity going into that day. It's the last Thursday of the before last Thursday of the month. So we had a lot of action that was happening there. And it was very interesting to see where the market is going. Actually, it's because of Christmas. I think it comes out a little weird this month, but there was a lot of activity that was happening there. And so far, Saturday out of Friday, not a lot happening in the market. We are seeing the fear up a little bit back to 20. So we were at 16, now we're at 20. And in general, the markets didn't freak out the way some people thought. Again, my opinion was that we were in a sell-off coming into that event. People saw that number that the crypto market, the Bitcoin had fallen 20% off of the previous Japan rate hikes. And so there was a pre-sell off, and it seems, right, although I'm going to give you a stat that says that we might be in a bear market, I think we sold off because of that, and now we're chilling, and we'll see where the market goes into the last part of the week. Okay. But listen, there's still things that are going on, positive things for XRP, negative things for XRP. You know, I give you all the latest and the greatest. I give you the good, the bad, and the ugly. That's how I believe it's the best way to make the best decisions. Okay. And so I really appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel, get me on your subscription page, and ring the bell so you get notifications about new videos that drop. Very, very important. So interestingly, we have XRP being talked about here on CNBC, and not in a way that is negative, but talking about how XRP ETFs are seeing steady inflows despite crypto's pullbacks. I don't think we would have seen this a year ago, that on CNBC would have had an article or a video article about XRP in a positive way. That wouldn't have happened a year ago. So the times are changing. Again, even though XRP's price action hasn't been the greatest over the past few months, we're still in a much better place than we were a year and a change ago. Okay. So that's very, very important to remember. Okay. Yes, we are in a downtrend, but the whole crypto market is in a downtrend. XRP is not unique in that aspect. Okay. So that's very, very important to remember. It's sad to see her go, but she is retiring. Senator Lummis, that has been a great ally for crypto, has decided to retire and not run for re-election in 2026. You can see here, a press representative for Lummis tells Eleanor she plans to spend the remainder of her term focused on getting crypto market structural legislation to the finish line. Senator Lummis has spent years dedicated to installing common sense guardrails for digital asset industry to protect consumers and promote innovation. And she remains laser focused on delivering a resounding victory for a vital industry and ensuring the U.S. leads the way in regulating digital assets. Senator Lummis and her staff plan to spend the remainder of her term getting this landmark legislation signed into law. She started working on crypto initiatives in 2021, building the Wyoming legislature's work in the space going back to 2017. I have a hunch, maybe I'm wrong, could be, that she will go to the private sector and get a cushy job on someone's board or something in the crypto market. I think that's probably going to happen. That's just how it works in politics, right? And so we'll see. But listen, it's sad to see one of the strongest advocates for the crypto market. Some might say she's too pro Bitcoin, but okay. But still, it's sad to see someone that was for the crypto market not be there and not be an advocate anymore. She'll continue, but it's a shame. Okay, this is just what's gonna happen. And listen, in the short term, right? Fed bought 23 billion in T-bills this week. China injected 1 trillion in won. I think this is this week. Treasury injected 51 billion in liquidity this week. Treasury bought back 5.7 billion of own debt this week. Fed pumped 20 billion into the economy this week. And somehow the crypto market looked even worse. Again, we've talked about this a lot, so I'm not going to get too much into it. But again, I think we're still feeling the repercussions of October 10th. Okay. So we'll kind of leave it at that, just short term. And listen, the crypto bear market has begun. This is what some indicators are telling us. Crypto Quant now says Bitcoin has likely entered a bear market phase. The report says Bitcoin could drop to 70,000 in the next 3 to 6 months and as low as 56,000 later in the second quarter of 2026. Now, I give you the data. I give you the good, the bad, and the ugly. Remember, this video is only my opinions. Okay, this is only others' opinions and my opinions on those opinions. Only for educational purposes, not financial advice. Always do your own due diligence before you decide to invest. Very, very important. This is an indicator. Okay, so this is telling us that, oh, we're going into a bear market. On the flip side, none of the indicators that signal a top for the bull market flashed. None of them. There's like 30 of them. None of them flashed. So on the one hand, you could say, well, now an indicator is telling us that this is potentially going to happen. But on the flip side, none of these other indicators happened. So it is a very confusing situation in the market. And again, I think a lot of the movement is quote unquote unnatural because of what happened on October 10th. So we need to take with a grain of salt all the indicators. If an indicator is telling us one thing, we need to be careful with that. And then if indicator is telling us another thing, we need to be careful with that. Okay. So just remember that and make sure to watch all the way to the end of the video because there's something that happened to someone that lost $50 million because of a mistake that I have warned about in the past. And I'm going to warn about it again so you don't fall into that trap. Very, very important to watch all the way to the end if you're already 7.5 minutes in. This is also interesting, right? Now that we're, got a full year of Bitcoin ETFs, people might say, well, there was a very bad year for the crypto market and all that. And the end of the year was really bad. But if you go and you zoom in a little bit or zoom out, I guess, you can see that in 2013, gold crashed down 28%. But the gold ETF had saw 25 billion in redemptions. Investors panic, flees, add first stress. Bitcoin drops 25 billion in inflows. Institutions accumulate by the entire dip. Same drown down psychology, 50 billion behavioral swing opposite direction has never occurred for any alternative asset ETF in history. And check the leaderboard. IBAT ranks 6th overall, 24 billion in net inflows. The only negative performer on the board, every other top fund up 15 to 30%. Meanwhile, gold ran 64%, best gold year since 1978, highest precious metal tape in 45 years. Bitcoin still outraised it, while down 10%. Let that sink in. The pension consultants see this data, the endowments see this data, the RIA models are already adjusting. BlackRock didn't build an ETF, they canonized an asset class, stocks, bond, real estate, Bitcoin. 60-40 just became the 55-35-55. Interesting, right? And so you can see, right, year-to-date return on IBAT is negative, and yet there was still huge inflows, right? So what does this tell us? It tells us that people believe that Bitcoin is undervalued right now, even though if you go and we go back, it's telling us we're going into a bear market. Also, I think a lot of crypto investors aren't the same breed as gold investors in, when was that? 2013. Remember, many crypto investors that might be shifting to IBAT just because of the self-custody aspect of it have been through ups and downs of the crypto market, have seen, they zoom out and they see what happens in the crypto market. They're like, okay, I understand that the crypto market is volatile. Whereas gold, it wasn't volatile. And when it drops down that significant, these investors that are not used to these kinds of pullbacks freak out. Okay, so that's why I think we're seeing this kind of positivity around the crypto ETFs. It will be very interesting to see. And now let's move on a little bit to XRP. Interesting stuff. There was an interview with David Schwartz and Matt Hogan from Bitwise. And I don't know, Steven and Jacqueline here, and talking about XRP and talking about the current situation. And David says here, most people think XRP Ledger is only about moving money fast. This just the surface. On-chain smart logic, decentralized identity credentials, NFTs with native royalty support, built-in DEX with auto bridging, escrow, multi-sign, and compliance-friendly features, tokenized RWAs, carbon credits, and loyalty systems, cross-chain interoperability via bridges. There's a lot of things still where we'll potentially see growth here from XRPL. And again, XRPL is the XRP blockchain. This will be beneficial for XRP. It says XRP has seen in its institutional activity drive retail adoption. We're going to take over the world with solid financial products that solve real-world use cases. Ripple CTO, or I don't know, didn't he step down? He was supposed to step down in that interview. So very interesting interview. You can go watch the whole interview and listen to what they're saying. But very, very interesting, for XRP, for Ripple going into this next year after, a year where there were ups and downs. Just, finally, the SEC finally removed the case and all the acquisitions. And listen, when you acquire a lot of companies, it takes time to get everybody on board and figure out game plans and workflows and how you're going to approach everything, how you're going to integrate everything. I think 2026 is going to be a very, very important year for XRP, for the crypto markets, and for Ripple as well. It's going to be very, very interesting. Something that is a little bit concerning that we need to watch again. I'm not sure. Some people are saying that actually there's a lot of whales that are moving to Binance and selling, but we're also seeing XRP leaving Binance rapidly, driving the exchange reserves to a multi-month low. Again, we've talked about this in the past. This is not necessarily a bad thing. It could be the fact that people are either moving off of Binance after October 10th. It could be people that are moving their assets to self-custody and things like that. So it's not necessarily a bad thing, but of course we have seen a lot of selling in the past few weeks, since October 10th. If we just look at where was the price before that, we're down 35%. But interestingly, right, if we go to the top here, let's say the top of where XRP was in you call it the all-time high, XRP was down 20% right there. So yes, it's down 35%, but we already dropped 20% at that point. So if you look at it, it's not the end of the world pullback. Yes, of course, we're down. we don't want to be down 47% in the last 5 months, but this is how it is sometimes, and we have to take that into consideration. I'm looking at this point in time as a learning experience. This is how I like to approach everything. I'm going to have my good days. I'm going to have my bad days. I'm going to have my amazing days. I'm going to have my terrible days. If I can learn from this, right, I think it will be better for me in 20, 30, 40 years down the line, because I think that I will have experienced a lot more. Hopefully, when I hit those levels, because of compound interest, it will be much more significant than what I'm doing now, hopefully. Right. And so that's my goal. I'm taking everything that happens to me, every single profit or loss, as a learning experience. Okay. Now, I want you to be careful around this. Very, very important. A victim lost $50 million due to a copy paste address mistake. I have warned about this mistake previously. I have been attacked by this mistake, and because I know about it, I haven't fallen into the trap. Before transferring $50 million, the victim sent 50 USDT as a test to his own address, right? Then the scammer immediately spoofed a wallet with the same first and last 4 characters and performed an address poisoning attack. So basically what they do is they send your wallet very small amount of money, and then it looks like in your last transaction that that's the address. Since many wallets hide the middle part of the address to make the UI look better, many users often copy the last address from transaction histories and usually only check the starting and ending letters. This victim likes to do the same. While transferring the remaining 49 million, the victim copied the fake address from his transaction history. As a result, almost $50 million went straight to the scammer. A painful lesson. Always double check your address before making transfer. Don't copy address from your transaction history for convenience. I like to do it as a copy paste to a document or to a Word or something like that, a notepad, and that way, right? I'm copy pasting, but from my data, right? And the data that I already tested. So just be careful with this. This is not the first time that I've seen this problem. I have alerted about it. I've seen in my accounts that they have tried to send me these small amounts, and sometimes exchanges or wallets they figure this out and they decline it, or they say that it's they cancel those transactions, but sometimes they don't. So just be very careful out there, and please remember that I will never contact you on social media. Those are imposters. If you see any new ones pop up, um, uh, let me know. I'm gonna start doing every single like first of the month. I'll try to look for them and then contact my. I have now a contact at the law enforcement. So they're helping me out, and they're sending direct messages to these platforms. When I send, they're like, they don't even, maybe they don't respond. Although X is very good, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, they don't respond to you. And it's kind of hard. But if it comes from this government agency, then they respond. And so just be very careful out there. Okay. People are getting a little bit anxious, and that's when problems happen. But also, if the market hopefully starts moving to the upside, there's going to be a lot of more of people looking for these people to fall into the cracks. So just be very careful out there. Okay. Don't forget to check out the links in the description down below. Smash the like button, drop a comment for 8 for infinity and beyond if that's where you want to go. And easiest thing to support the channel is just to smash that like button. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time.